This is the Misdirected Mark Podcast, a podcast about gaming, game mastering, and entertaining you, our listeners. We are explicit, and you have been warned, and I'd like to thank Mike Willard for letting us use his music on our show. Now let's pick up those mics and get on with this thing.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. Yes, let us pick up those mics and get on with this thing. On this episode of the Misdirected Mark Podcast, where we are talking about giving feedback to the GM, how to do it, why we do it, and do we even need it. My name is Chris.
As always, I'm Phil.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss my cue?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you really just.
Are you Old Man Logan?
I'm Old Man Logan, and I was checking the levels, and it was loud, and I didn't hear you.
That's true. Very, very true. You can pull those out now.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, you're good. I think we're okay. And if anybody in the chat room for life would let us know if the levels are terrible or not, they can do that.
This is an episode about failure, right?
No, that was last.
That was last week. So, Phil, man, what's going on?
Well, we all got in the car and had a big road trip this past weekend. Went to Grove City, Pennsylvania, where we got to have the Encoded Designs, the strategic meeting for Encoded Designs, where we lock ourselves in a boardroom for a day and strategize and plan. And I'll say this real quick about that meeting. That meeting is incredibly, I don't want to say efficient because it took over 8 hours. It's very effective. Like, we get a lot of material covered in 8 hours. Not a lot of screwing around.
That's true.
The only screwing around there was when you guys were actually just talking more graphic design stuff.
Yeah, and that wasn't even really screwing around. That was educating
Right.
ourselves.
I mean, that's literally like, that was the downtime. You would think we would screw around a lot, but we really didn't. So it was good. We planned out a lot of stuff, and I did a bunch of that stuff, and we're not going to talk about that.
I mean, you'll just see that over the course of the next, 12 months.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We did afterwards. We went to a nice brew pub.
We did. Yes, it was enjoyable.
I drank the stout.
I had an IPA and a winter or something IPA that was citrusy.
Yeah, it was a very chocolatey coffee kind of stout. Mm-hmm. But we all used the encoded mugs.
Yes, that was cool.
Which I don't know if you checked your bill. They only charged us $5.
$5.25.
$5.25 to fill that giant ass
Yeah,
mug.
That's
was
a pretty
pretty
good
cool.
price for a giant beer like that.
I'm
I
really
agree.
happy I wasn't the one driving home after I drank that.
I'm really glad I didn't bring my mug in and get my Jack Fire
Oh.
and hot cider.
You would have been
in
dead.
that, 'cause
we would have all been dead.
we would have all.
Bob was
been-
the driver.
Yeah.
Anyway, so did that, and then Sunday I went over with you guys to Nikki's, and we all played Fall of Magic.
We, in fact, did play Fall of Magic.
Yeah.
Really good, and
Love
I
that
just
game.
backed the new Fall of Magic Kickstarter.
There is a Fall of Magic Kickstarter. I don't have it in the notes, so maybe I'll try to slide it in there. There's only like 100 copies of the game that are coming out because
Yeah.
it's an expansion.
I clicked it. It's not even an expansion. It's a thing to hold all the pieces
Oh.
plus a new coin.
Okay.
So because they're from the failed maps, like when they tried to screen print the maps and it didn't work.
Nice.
So they were like, well, we should use this material. We can make this. It's almost like an all rolled up. Like it's a thing for your notes.
Uh-huh.
The rules. It has a thing on the side, a slot for every one of the coins,
That's pretty cool.
and they minting a new gold coin. So I was like, oh, I'll put a 48-hour notice on this thing, and then I went back and looked, and I'm like, oh wait, there's only 100 of these being made.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, nope, back it right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So done.
As I said when I pointed you to it, I said, you don't need that money.
Yeah, gone. I think it was like $40 with shipping.
That's not so bad.
No, I mean I already sunk 85 into that game. Why not just,
I mean, if you have the disposable income.
to quote my mentor Martin Ralia, just go balls deep.
There you go.
Good job, Martin. Way to be.
It's my mentor Martin Ralia. Thanks, man. Balls deep.
You done?
I think when we reach balls deep,
So, Bob,
I am done.
what's going on?
I think we're all done. Yeah, meeting, Fall of Magic. A little bit of a rough weekend and start to the week. I've been fighting a bit of a headache. I got a knotted muscle in the back of my skull. It tightens up and it aggravates me.
Is that a thing for
It
you?
is. It's a thing.
Huh.
My chiropractor told me that my neck muscles are getting weak. I'm supposed to be doing neck exercises with light weights, and I keep forgetting to do them. So now I'm going to double down and I'm going to do them when I need to do them to strengthen my neck muscles and make that not happen.
Well, that seems like a wise thing to do.
It is a wise thing to do. And it's Tuesday, man. It's like we're here doing a podcast again. These weeks, they go so fast.
They do go rather quickly.
Yeah.
It's a good checkpoint. Be like, what did we do this past week?
Hey, damn right. What's up with you?
So I worked on the character cache earlier today. Knocked the parts of it that I had to knock out, and I developed the parts that I had to develop and moved that along in the process. I'm really very thrilled about this week's, months.
Oh, did you like them?
Yes, very much so. The hedonist French spy that's like James Bond steampunk style.
Yeah.
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 It's good stuff. There's some really cool feats and not feats, stunts.
There's a
for
fate stunt. I know there's a fate stunt you particularly liked.
Yep, the edge that goes along with it too.
Yeah.
I tried to mimic it in the Dungeons and Dragons abilities.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Did you see? Can I just tease one little bit because I put it on Twitter?
Yeah, sure.
So he has a steampunk railgun.
He does.
And I could not resist. I could not resist coming up with a aspect for it.
Yeah.
And it's the best aspect I think I've ever written.
You want to tell people what it is?
Chugga chugga boom boom.
Chugga
Chugga boom boom.
Well, I mean, what else does a steam powered railgun sound like?
That's right.
Chugga chugga boom boom.
And the high concept is a clockwork spy.
Yeah.
It's so good. So good.
Thank you. Matt Morrow has always slayed the artwork. He, I mean, nailed it, right? Like I gave him a picture of Daniel Craig and I was like, but I need him French and I need him in steampunk, and Matt just delivers.
Yeah, he does.
As always.
Yeah.
And last thing, I've been doing marketing work for Baldwin Games. And so if you follow the Baldwin Games Twitter, that's me for the most part. I've been doing. I found out that you can schedule tweets on TweetDeck. It's so much fun.
Oh yeah, I mean Hootsuite has that feature too.
Yeah, except I hate Hootsuite's interface.
You know what? I could take a piece of paper and cover the entire bottom part of Hootsuite, except for the part where I actually write the message.
Yeah.
I could like give a shit about anything that happens in that bottom 2/3 of the screen. Like I could just like it could not be there.
Well, I don't know who makes TweetDeck, right? Like, it might be supported by Twitter. I'm not sure who supports it, but like you can add as many Twitter handles as you need to that thing.
Uh-huh.
But you only can utilize 3 on Hootsuite for free unless you want to pay for it. Then you can put as much stuff on there as you want.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like Hootsuite for what it is, but it's not super effective.
I mean,
for
I
everything
use it
else.
only because I cross post.
Mm-hmm.
So I use it to go to G+, Facebook, and Twitter all at the same time.
I use it. I just don't use it for Twitter because I hate it for Twitter. I use it for the Misdirected Mark Facebook page and for the Misdirected Mark G+ page, not for the groups.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on. Announcements. So the mega feed is going away, Phil.
Warning. The mega feed is evacuating. Please proceed to the lit exit at the end of the row.
Yes. Now,
Remember, closest exits may be behind you.
That's
In
true.
case of a water landing, reach under your seat for a flotational device.
where's the part where you just say "kiss your ass goodbye"?
Well, I got to do the part right. So there's like 5 exits on this plane, like 2 forward, 2 on the wing, and 1 in the back.
That's right.
There's always one in the back.
The other thing is
Ba-dum-bum.
the file, the OMPL file or
Oh.
PLML file. One of those. It's called something like that. I posted it to the website. So if you want to get all of the feeds, all you have to do is go and grab that file on your phone or wherever you get your podcatcher, put it in your OMLP load up thing, and it will put all the feeds in your podcatcher.
Is that a technical term? The OLP?
I forget
I
what
was
it's
just gonna,
called,
I
man.
was just gonna do that. Like this is super technical. Put in your OMLP thingy uploader.
Thank you, Mycroft, for sending that our way. I appreciate it.
Yes, and who has also been a contributor of topics to Pandas Talk Games.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't worry, I'll get on the next thing, which is putting actual contact information on the website for all of the hosts instead of just for me.
There we go.
So people can get it.
What? Crazy talk.
Because we talk about it, but there's nowhere like physical to go find it. Like it doesn't exist on the internet.
What information about us?
Contact information.
Oh yeah, no.
It's just me.
No, you have to go listen to the shows. You want contact information? Do your homework.
And
Like,
it seems
to
like
the end of to the end of every show.
Quit being lazy.
Except I got yelled at for that. Like it should be easier.
This
I'm
is
like,
what you get for soliciting feedback from the listeners.
It's true.
Now we have to fix stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. It's okay. That's why I do that, so I can fix stuff. So there's an archive of Misdirected Mark episodes.
Yes.
Yes.
It goes up to 210. I will update it very shortly to the current episode level.
Okay.
I will also start doing it for Down with D&D and Pandas Talking Games.
Oh, there we go.
The rom-com is out.
Yes.
Our play of the rom-com.
Yes.
That is another announcement.
That was amusing.
You can get it by going to the Patreon. The Patreon is there. You don't have to be a member of the Patreon. You just have to go to the Patreon to get it.
But if you happen to not be a member of the Patreon and you're just there listening to it, and you want to click the thing that says support us,
Yeah,
you
feel
do that.
feel free. One person already did. I appreciated it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're good like that.
All right. And speaking of Patreon, since we have now fulfilled all the rewards from our previous level,
Oh, yes.
time to start talking about the next level.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So if we get to $360, Bob will shave his head.
Someone will shave my
I
head.
will shave his
Well,
head.
one of us is going to shave Bob's
The
head,
head will be shaved.
and we're
Yes.
going to broadcast it live on Twitch while it's being shaved.
Oh yeah.
Can I tie him to a chair?
No.
No. Not tying me to a chair. I'm going to voluntarily sit there and let you shave my head.
I know what
Can I
you want to do.
voluntarily tie you to a chair?
No, I'm
Why
not.
do you
It's
wanna-
consensual.
I'm not like a
He's
Shibari
not.
test
Do
dummy.
you realize he's
It's-
not consenting? Like that's a thing.
Shibari Test Dummy
Right.
is actually my my college cover band.
That's actually a good name for a college cover
It
band.
is.
Senda and Phil will record another live episode of Pandas Talking Games.
Maybe I'll tie her to a chair.
Okay. If she says yes, then I'm not going to stop you.
Pandas Tied to Chairs is our new game.
Now, yeah, sure. We'll just put it on the after show feed. Whatever.
There
It's
we go.
fine. And I will start releasing short system agnostic dungeons to all the backers.
Ooh, I like
and
that.
I will do that twice a year.
Nice.
It'll probably be like a 5-room dungeon, like a 1-page thing.
Yeah.
In fact, the guy who makes the maps, the Dyson, he has a Patreon, and every once in a while he puts out a map that is just Creative Commons, like anybody can use it.
Dyson's maps.
Dyson's
Yeah.
logo is
So I'll just
awesome.
take a Dyson logo map if it's what I think it is, because I thought I read that somewhere. I thought I saw that, and I will turn that into a dungeon. Like I'll stock it for everybody, and then we'll release it. I'll lay it out and everything. So that's at 360. All right, that's it. I think we're gonna move on to the main segment, which is a workshop.
Yeah.
GM feedback. We'll be right back. Welcome to the workshop, where we try to build better games. You know, in getting into feedback, because I asked for feedback on the show this past week in a couple of different places, it was brought to my attention that maybe we should do another survey so we can get a bunch of information. That might be a thing that we do soon. Also, I'm thinking about putting some new bumpers together. Like, the workshop bumper has been around forever, but Phil mentioned that thing, like how they have the bumper for Caleb and Rich Howard over on Whelmed, and he was thinking about doing the computer thing. I'm open to suggestions for that. I don't know if I want to do exactly that because I don't want to copy them and copy that shtick, but we'll think of something, right? Like, we could probably do better than that, right?
But I mean, let's not say better. Rich, those guys are great.
Yeah, we could.
We could do our thing.
Yeah, we can do our
You know,
thing.
We could make it a Chris Phil Bob thing.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So we're going to talk about GM feedback. And to start with talking about GM feedback, this comes from a conversation that was had in our G Plus community about how ineffective or effective roses and thorns are, which we'll talk a little bit about that too. But when we started looking into it, we felt we should probably go wider on the whole topic of GM feedback.
Well, I mean, I think we got a whole bunch of comments, and then it was like, when we get that many comments on a post, we start to think like, well, this might be show worthy.
Yeah. So as we usually do around here, we like to start with the definition. So the definitions for critique and feedback and things like that, they're not very sufficient for what we're trying to talk about concerning games.
Yeah.
So we had to I cobbled one together. And let me know if you think this is effective, Phil. So critique, performance appraisal, feedback. These are all buzzwords that just lead to the idea that we as GMs and players are looking for data on our games for reasons of either improving as a GM or tuning the game for the players at the table to have the best experience possible.
I think that is a very good definition. I think it's slanted a little towards campaign play or static group, but yes, I think it's plenty sufficient for our work tonight.
Yes. Well, either improving as a GM.
Yes.
That could be for the one-shot side.
It could be one-shot side.
Yeah, and then for the campaign side, it's tuning the game for the players at the table to have the best possible
Yeah.
experience. In fact, a lot of times in a one-shot, I will, in the middle of the game...
Are you with me?
Yes. In the middle of the game, I will actually stop, like when we take a break, and be like, is there anything I can do to make the experience better?
Yes.
So that's another time that I will actually solicit feedback at a one-shot.
You locked up there because I was giving Bob the stink eye.
Yes, because you guys were talking about breathing and getting closer to the microphone.
Yeah, giving Bob the stink eye because everybody else doesn't know this, but Chris switched Bob's mic, and now I have a different mic, and now I have a different rig, and so I'm not sure where to position everything to be heard properly, and it's throwing my game off tonight. So,
I turned you up a little bit.
thanks, Everson.
Yeah.
Hey, the chat room said, "Tell Phil to move closer to the mic. He's quiet."
I don't think
So
they're
I said,
really
"Phil,
interested in
move closer
hearing what
to the
Phil
mic.
has
He's
to
quiet."
say.
I think they are very interested in hearing what Phil has to say. So let's talk about why do we want to give and get feedback.
Let's do that.
So Phil, why do people want to give and get feedback?
Well, I mean, listen, you're doing this thing, you want to be good at it, right?
Yes.
I mean, let's just at a high level, you want to be good at it, so you need to know, are you actually doing a good job at this?
Uh-huh.
I mean, you may think you're killing this thing on the other end of the table, and you're dying.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, you need to know things like, are people having a good time? Now, we always jump on this thing about good time being very subjective,
Uh-huh.
but it's legitimate. Like, it's legitimate.
Well,
Like,
that's a good reason for getting feedback, right?
right. Are you having a good time?
Yeah.
Because if you're not having a good time, you're not going to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're you get up and leave.
That's not true anymore.
If you're the rest of us, we slowly tank the campaign. You just torpedo it from underneath.
Wow, this is brutal.
I mean, come on. I'm gonna appeal to the chat room. The chat room ever tank a campaign
No.
because it wasn't going very well?
can I
Because I
say-
feel like people have.
Can I say real quick, my version
Yes.
is at least more honest.
Well, I think getting up and walking out is very honest. I think it hurts, but I think it's very honest. There's no denying that.
Okay.
No, mine is, deceptive. But whatever.
So I put together some talking points for actually like why we might want to give feedback. I mean, you sort of
I.e.,
glossed
Phil,
over.
can you read the copy?
Well,
I can.
you
actually.
don't have to read the copy, but at least go off.
So
the
listen,
copy.
we can talk about mechanical enjoyment.
Yep, we can.
So games that have lots of mechanics, we do actually need to be sure that the mechanics of the game are enjoyable. Are our combats taking too long? Are these skill challenges stupid? Those kinds of things. We need to know if the setting is enjoyable.
Yes.
Like, is this setting hard? Like, it's Rokugan, and are you guys dying trying to keep up with the intricacies of court politics? Is that not fun for you? I mean, it's fun for McClure and I, but the rest of you could be suffering.
That's true.
And then we can specifically talk about story, right? The first two are a product of the game, right? The setting is often 50-50. The setting is sometimes you, setting sometimes the game.
Yep.
And the mechanics are pretty much the game. The last part is story. Are you doing a good job presenting the story?
Uh-huh.
Is the story engaging? Are we having fun? Is it too predictable? Is it too opaque? Is this mystery so opaque that no one understands what happened until
Yes.
the final act?
It's a very good reason to get feedback.
Yeah, I mean, mysteries. Of all the different types of games, mysteries are one that I think benefit the most from nearly continuous feedback. Because if players aren't getting it, plowing through the mystery is almost the worst idea possible. You are so much better to stop, regroup, retell parts of the story, and keep going.
Yes.
Anyway. Okay.
So that all leads into making sure everybody's on the same page too.
Yeah. I mean, and again, especially true in mysteries, right? Like, if they've forgotten a clue,
Yeah.
like that they've already found, and that happens if you go between session to session.
And we'll talk a little bit in a little while about ways to ask questions or what kinds of questions to ask to get everybody on the same page again, like how to get the best kind of questions out there for the specific result that you're looking for. So we're also doing this to make sure that we are maintaining a safe space for everybody at the table.
Yeah, I mean, if we're playing a game with a high emotional bleed or some, content that might be on our lines, that not necessarily something we didn't want in the game, but something that we're all a little concerned about, or some of us are.
Yeah.
We do want to make sure that we're still operating in a safe manner.
Yeah, that's why those check-ins, that feedback is sometimes a good thing to have.
And sometimes that's great, like halfway through the game.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And of course, we already mentioned this a little bit, to become better game masters and better players.
Well, I mean, ultimately, if we're not making sure, if we're not checking on the entertainment of everyone else, then yes,
Yeah.
that's pretty much what we're doing.
So those are all very different reasons. Like, there's no actual one reason for doing this.
Yeah, well, there's no one reason, which means there's no one approach to doing this.
Because you're looking for different results, so you have to have different ways to go about it.
Yeah, and in fact, it's actually really bad to. The worst question you can ask in this kind of feedback is, "How's it going?"
I mean, I don't know if it's the worst question.
Well, the reason I say it is because you're not asking, you're not looking for anything specific. You've thrown out a net, and it's sometimes a directed question, and it doesn't have to be super directed, but like, hey, how are the combats going?
Yeah.
Or, you know,
Well, why don't we talk about some methods for doing this then?
yeah, go ahead.
All right. So before we get into the methods, because you were heading right into that, the first rule I think for all of this is making it clear why you want critique, or for whatever reasons from above, or whatever reasons that you desire.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
you need to be clear about why you want the critique.
right. And I think that's good, because here's my feeling about it. When you open up with a question like "How's it going?"
Mm-hmm.
it's too broad. Like, you'll be all over the place, and it'll be hard to get a lot of good feedback, because you're just going to get like a little sprinkle here and there of different issues.
Uh huh.
But if I say something to you like, "Hey, I really want to up my GMing game. What based on like our last couple of games we were playing, what is it I can do that's really gonna, like, what is it I could really improve upon that you've noticed?"
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a very different conversation to have with your table.
So that first question that you mentioned, like how's it going? To me,
Yeah.
that's a very open-ended question.
Yeah.
I actually don't think there's a place for that, because it's like what did you like? What did you dislike? What could I have done better to facilitate play for you?
Even those are better questions than "How's it going?"
You're asking a personal feeling, right?
Yeah.
Like, because you want to know what that player, whatever answer they give, will inform what they're thinking about concerning the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are the things that are forefront in their mind.
Right.
Assuming they're going to be honest with you, which is why we do the make it clear why you want critique.
Yes.
To me, that plays a lot into the idea of roses and thorns, because I think that's exactly what roses and thorns are.
Yeah. I mean, Roses and Thorns are very directed. It's a very directed method of collecting this information,
Yeah.
right? So it goes on the premise that I would like you to give me a rose, something you liked,
Mm-hmm.
and a thorn, something you disliked. Now,
Yes.
it could be multiples, but often they're like paired.
Yeah.
And
I found the original place where it comes from. It's actually from like a team building exercise.
okay.
Yeah, so they're asking for something that was wonderful or exciting, and something that was either awful or provided the person with difficulty. Like, and you just do 1 and 1.
Yes. And so the good part to that is, and some of this came up in the G Plus thing, is that it combines a compliment and a critique.
Yes.
Now, I have no problem with that, because I think that depending on who you are, different people have different capacity for taking critique.
Uh huh.
So it sometimes helps people if they receive a compliment in with it. Because a lot of times, especially newer GMs, and especially GMs who, like, a lot of times as a new GM, you are very hard on yourself. And you need to get your sea legs, you need to build up some confidence to be a good GM. I mean,
Yes.
confidence is a lot of what it takes to be a good GM. And if your critique only comes back as, well, this was bad, this was bad, this was bad, and that's all you hear.
Well, then you never know what you did right, so that you can keep doing those same things.
Right. You don't hear that. And then on top of that, then you're like, wow, like, all I heard was 10 minutes of everything that went wrong. You're like, why am I even doing this?
Yeah, it can do both those things. One, it doesn't reinforce the things that you're doing well, and it can be very depressing at
Right.
times.
So, go ahead. When we get to the bottom of this set of questions, I'll talk about how we do this in project management. Because
Sure.
project management, we actually have a very specific set of questions we like to ask around this.
So we talked about those are the general kinds of things, like the personal feelings that we're trying to get from players. You can ask questions about the game itself, the mechanics. You actually mentioned this earlier.
Oh, yeah.
But the mechanics are like same thing. Like, what mechanics did you enjoy? How did they work for you?
Yeah.
What didn't you enjoy? Why? Why is always a very important
Why
question.
is, yeah.
Yeah, and trying to get that answer out of them, because then you can figure out, you can start tuning the game for them, and you can also figure out what kind of games your group likes and doesn't like.
I mean, this set of questions could reveal you're playing the wrong game.
That's true. Very true.
I mean, there's entirely possible that after you hear what people don't like about the game, it's not the game's problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't like monster killing, leveling up, and all these D20 rolls.
Tracking experience is stupid.
Right, tracking experience. Right. Well,
The
maybe we
randomness of the
shouldn't play
D20 bothers me.
Pathfinder.
Yeah, the randomness of the D20 bothers me.
Yeah, it's so swingy. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah. So that, I mean, it's good because it's good to understand what's working mechanically, because sometimes, and we've talked about this in the past, sometimes this will allude to a mastery problem.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'm just not really proficient in how to run 15th level Pathfinder combat.
Sure. Yeah.
And then what's good is then I can go learn.
Yeah.
I can ask questions online, that kind of thing. Other times, like I said, it could reveal, like, we should be playing Savage Worlds. Like, you guys probably would like this a whole lot better based on what you're telling me.
Or some other game.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next thing is we mentioned this earlier too. It's story beats. Like, what kind of moments or interactions in the game do you enjoy? Like, does Situation X work for you? And Situation X could be like, do you like chase scenes? Do you like that combat type scene? Do you like investigative scenes? Do you like the personal interaction, the drama? Like, do you want more or less of those kind of things in the game? Like, maybe you like it for flavor, but you don't like it as the main crux of your game.
Right. And so sometimes this question is, you can harvest this information in the question by asking, tell me in the last 3 or 4 sessions, tell me like 2 scenes that really stand out in your mind.
Yep, there you go.
Because rather than pointing them towards a specific type of scene, by asking them which ones kind of gravitate, like which ones are at the top of their mind, they're kind of telling you.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and that's how you discover, like, oh, you like deep, NPC interactions.
Yep.
And then you need to have more of those.
Because that's what people are looking for.
Yeah.
And then the other one is gameplay, like questions about how play is being handled. So, like, if your game has like rules drifting in it, you can ask, "Are you okay with these rules drifts that we're doing on the fly?" Or you could be like, should we stick closer to rules as written?" You could ask about, like, if you're playing a game that has sort of a rule set that can go with theater of the mind or with a gridded map, you can be like, "Do you like that we use theater of the mind, or would you prefer us to have more of a relative positioning map so you can actually visualize what's going on better?" Like that kind of gameplay stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and you're going to get a variety of answers to that, but it's good. I mean, some of that's a lot. I mean, some of that can even extend out to just how procedurally we play the game at the table.
Yep.
Like, is it a pain in the ass that I have to collect all the cards after initiative? People might be like, "Oh, I love the Savage Worlds initiative system," but all the cards on the table makes a mess of things.
So how do you fix that?
Right. Well, then you start thinking like, okay, well, what are some ways we can clean that up? Yeah.
Next thing, questions about safety. So, you want to hit this one?
Yeah. So what we're talking about is the things that make people feel unsafe. So we might have a player who has a particular trigger. I mean, we know mine is betrayal, and it could be that, like, in the game, we're kind of getting to a point where it's becoming obvious that my character is going to get betrayed. This might be a good time for the GM to pop in and be like, "Say, Phil, I think it's obvious Caesar is probably going to screw you over. Like, are you still okay with that? Is this a veil thing? Is this a, are you okay?"
Yes.
So that kind of thing. On top of that, you might be starting to plan out like your next arc. And I might say something like, "Hey guys, this next arc's gonna have a lot of body horror. Is everybody comfortable with that? Is everybody comfortable with that idea of body horror in game? Like, body horror to NPCs, yes. Body horror to you guys,
Gauge the table, get where the lines and the veils are.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can have a comprehensive safety discussion at the start of a campaign, but there's no way you're going to cover everything.
It's true.
So sometimes it's good to just get this feedback and ask these kinds of questions before you just make it like an assumption and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm totally going to infect them with these parasites that like grow heads out of their arms and stuff," only to find out like somebody's going to be completely flipped out.
Don't be like me, because I do that stuff all the time and not say anything about it. Like, just don't do that.
Well, I will say this. I will say this about you. It's fair to say that once you've played with you long enough,
yes,
the weird is always on the table.
That's true.
Like, no matter what we play, there's a chance that it's going to go weird. Like Cthulian or some sort of Gygaxian, like, it's going to happen.
I should probably
thing.
Yeah, I should probably run a game sometime where it doesn't do that.
I mean, you can, but
that would freak us out.
No, but
we'd be like, "Where's the weird?" Oh
here's
no.
the thing, and maybe we're about to get ready for our pin for next week. I think it's okay to have a style. I think it's okay to sometimes play outside your style, but I think that one of the things I like about playing a Sneezak campaign is that it's gonna get weird somewhere. If I was gonna play a Drew Smith campaign, I expect it to get Cthulian.
Yes.
Like if you play a game with me, there's probably a conspiracy.
Probably, yeah.
Right? There's somebody is plotting something.
Strangely enough, if you play a game with me, there's probably a conspiracy too.
Well, because conspiracy and weird kind of run
They do.
hand in hand, cults and things like that. But anyway,
So we're pinning that for next week. It's okay to have a style.
yeah, pin it because I don't remember if we did GM style or not, but I think we
Ding.
can start talking about it.
While I'm pinning that, can you turn him up just a little bit more?
Sure.
I swear to God, what is it about this
just
mic?
don't move. He's going to turn you
just
up.
keep moving back from it. That's okay.
You know what? I listen to this podcast every week. I never hear it when what you call it. And I don't know if that's the level 8.
It's because I level it.
Because I never hear this. I always listen. I'm like, I sound fine.
You do, because I make you sound fine.
You're just that good.
Anyway,
I do work.
onward.
Yeah. You wanted to talk about project management and how these questions work for that.
Yeah, so in project management, we have a thing at the end of a project called lessons learned. The idea being that whatever dumpster fire that we just completed, we'd like to make the next one not so much of a dumpster fire.
Uh-huh.
And so I always do this. Now, there are different methods for this, but I have a method I've used for many, many years, and I've stuck with it, and I really like it. And I ask 3 questions, and they're open questions for people to answer any way they want. And that is, what did we do well? And the context of that question is, what did we do well means what things should we do again in the next project? Okay, so what did we do well? What could have been better? I.e., what did we screw up? And specifically, what did we screw up so that we don't do those again in the next project? And then the last one is what surprised us. And surprise being good or bad. Surprise being simply, what did we not account for? Right?
Mhm. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
So what did we not account for? And that means that we didn't plan for it.
Yeah. Like, oh, me and Phil can't write a book together.
Right. That surprised us.
That did surprise us.
Yeah.
It's not that we can't. It's just that we need to work harder to do it. That's all.
It was, I think the correct way to put it is it's way harder to write a book together the way we wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those 3 questions can also apply to campaigns, right? Like, what's going on? Like, what do you like right now? That tells me we should have more of those things, whether it's story beats, combat scenes, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
What could be better? These are things I need to fix
Sure.
inside my campaign.
Mhm.
And what surprised you? That's an indicator to me that am I not doing a good job of either I meant to surprise you and therefore I did a great job, or I was supposed to lay down some foreshadowing so that wasn't so jarring, but apparently it was. So what do I need to do to make sure that I do a better job of that the next time around?
Yeah. Those are all really good questions to ask and think about, and
Yeah.
even involve the other players in too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because you can figure out where they missed it and where they didn't see the thing that you were trying to drop out.
Because if all of a sudden they're like, well, the innkeeper as the cult leader was totally a surprise, and you're like, really? Because I left clues about the innkeeper like everywhere. Like, then you have to go back and think, how well of a job did I do conveying those clues in the game for people to hear them?
Like, I wonder how well I prompted the whole cult of the White Fang being the townsfolk.
I'm trying to remember.
Because there were moments that, like, when Tony got taken, when Bardic got taken, and that's our the cult of the White Fang is from the Airy Peaks.
So here's where it was hard to tell. It was hard to tell because all those things happened in the peaks.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that people from the town would sneak up into the peaks. But there's so much other shit in the peaks
Yeah.
that you couldn't be 100% sure. Like, well, some group of humanoids took Tony inside the peaks. That could be anyone.
It's true. That's
now,
true.
maybe if they had found a mug from the inn,
Oh, yeah, that would have tipped him off.
right? Like, maybe if somebody, like a tool from the blacksmith,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, something like that, it'd be like, why is that up here?
Or down there.
Or, like, why is that down here this far in the dungeon? Because, we're sufficiently far enough into this that the amateurs are not in this level of the dungeon.
Yeah, they're getting murdered when they come in here.
So the townsfolk didn't accidentally wander into this section.
That is very true.
I never clued into it. It never occurred to me.
I didn't, but it was fine. Like,
Yeah.
because when that revelation came up, it's like, A, of course some of them have to be involved, and B, those fuckers. Like,
Yeah.
it was equally entertaining.
All right. Good. So we should move on to the next section, which is
Do you
player.
want to catch our breath and find out what the chat room's up to?
Yeah, we could do that.
Let's do that.
What are they up to? Do they have anything interesting to say?
Oh, absolutely. Jim McClure Everybody's favorite, Jim McClure.
Sure.
Is it actually Jim McClure? Or is it Emily masquerading?
Based
as
on the words being used, I'm fairly confident that is the actual Jim McClure and not the faux Jim McClure.
Okay.
No faux Jim McClure.
So,
Yes.
given the choice of a red polo or a black polo, you believe that this Jim McClure would wear a black polo?
Absolutely wearing
Okay.
a black polo.
A
yes.
black polo.
Yes.
It is totally black polo Jim McClure.
Yeah. So a few people chimed in about asking for feedback.
Sure.
Jim McClure said, interestingly, I am fairly anti-GM feedback myself, as in I never ask for feedback because feedback becomes very skewed from people when they're having to give feedback directly to the person that it's about. People rarely give honest feedback to a person when that feedback is directly related to them. The people I trust to give me honest feedback are the people that I can already read at the table. And that's a good point because not everybody has the same experience. So there's definitely people out there like Jim who are like, no, I'm not going to ask for feedback and I can read my people and that's totally cool.
I mean, I think there's value in creating a place where you can let people give more detailed feedback besides reading them. Because reading them, I can read whether somebody's having a good time or not. I can't always tell why. Like, they could be having a less than good time because these mechanics are clunky and they're having trouble grokking it, or they could be annoyed that these monsters seem arbitrary and stupid. And I can't separate those two out. I can tell that they're not having a good time. I can tell this scene is falling flat, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure why it's falling flat. Now, if I do something like blank questionnaires, I don't know if you've ever done this, but I know game masters who have anonymous Google Docs, or anonymous Google Forms.
Never once have I done that.
Yeah, anonymous Google Forms where you can just let your players go in and write stuff down, and you actually won't know who they're from.
And for some people, that's perfect. That's exactly what they would feel comfortable with.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to get into, in a section or so, we're going to get into giving critique and receiving critique, because that's where this problem stems from.
Yeah, there's a way to receive critique where you can encourage the person that gave you the first critique to get everybody else to pile on, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's and there are things we can do as players to give
Critique.
good critique.
Good critique. Quality critique.
Yep.
And it's not that it's easy. It's a skill.
It is a skill.
But it's a valuable one if you want to help your GMs that you play with.
I can read players too if they're having a good time or not, and what's working and what's not. But I still always ask. I can't remember. I've been asking for 6 years.
Well, you also come from a writing background.
That's true.
You come from a background where critique was part of your education, and I did too. I mean, mine was a little more combative than yours. I mean, mine in grad school. That process is a little less like this is what I liked and didn't, as opposed to I don't think that's right to justify it. So, but it's still critique. Like, I don't think your experiment is designed very well. Defend yourself.
Yeah.
And there's, there are ways to take that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's absolutely not it's not an innate skill for everyone.
No, it's not.
Okay.
And it's that's why we talked about those questions before, because certain kinds of questions can draw out certain kinds of answers.
Yes, and creating that safe space will also help elicit them.
Absolutely.
And beer.
There you go.
Get them drunk.
Beer is effective, super
There you
effective,
go. All right.
as they say in Pokemon. All right,
Moving on.
move on with player feedback. So you can utilize some of these questions that we talked about from the player side too, if you want feedback on how you can participate in the game in a more effective manner.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a thing that
People don't think about.
no, people don't think about that. There's always like, hey, we're going to tell the GM what the hell to do. Like,
Yeah.
But, there's a point where you are participating in this game as well, and you can be critiqued for your character.
And you can ask the game master and the other players. Like that's the whole point. You put it out there to everybody.
Right. I think this is like really important if you are playing a character that potentially doesn't fit
Yes.
in the game.
Yeah.
Like Tony's Bard was, Tony's Bard was potentially something we should have killed.
Yes. And luckily, I don't think he would have minded, and I know I wouldn't have minded. Like it would have just
No.
been a thing that happened.
No, but I think if you're playing like I one time in this Palladium game that Bob ran, I played this elven wizard, who was an utter bastard. Like, I mean, complete and utter bastard. And I mean, I would not have. I mean, I actually didn't even like the character.
Yeah.
I just played him,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lot of checking in to make sure that people were like people got like it's the character, not Phil.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of kind of dick moves that
Yeah.
character was known.
He was a dick of the highest order.
Yeah, he really like. I mean, he was.
Of course, I didn't do any favors. I encouraged it.
Oh yeah, like, you're a fan of Farscape, right?
Yeah, I love Farscape.
Okay, so my character in the party was the equivalent of the little dude.
Oh, he's great.
Right, but that guy's like, what? That guy's an asshole.
Yes, he is.
Right, and I played that character.
It was just every once in a while he would do something that would endear you to him, and it was okay.
I just almost didn't do that.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
So that would bring up like let's talk about a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk
get
about
into it. So questions about characterization, like is my character and the way they're presented a problem for anyone? So in this case, your character that you're talking about,
Yeah.
when you present that character when you're playing it, and then you have to check in every once in a while, like it might be part of the problem, like of the game. It might be an issue, like you have to ask that, like, is this okay? Is what I'm doing okay? And if you know it might be, I think you should point it out. Like, it's just a problem for anybody. Maybe acting like a dick all the time.
Well, I mean, here's a more reasonable example, right? Like that Elven character was in my 20s, and in my 20s playing with 20-year-olds. We were just being jerks.
Yeah.
But for instance, early Corrin, right? So before Corrin gets his ice heart and all that,
Hedonist Corden.
hedonist Corrin is hits town with his bag of gold and proceeds to drink and whore his way through the entire downtime scene.
That happened.
A lot.
Yes.
Every time.
Now, that had to do with the pathology of Corrin, who was basically a drug addict,
Yeah.
who was, go to the peaks to get your gold, then come and blow all your cash, on physical pleasures.
It's strange enough that character fit into the rotation, the cycle of the gameplay.
Oh, totally.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I kind of built him that way.
Yeah.
But if we were playing at a mixed table, people might be uncomfortable
Oh, absolutely.
with, Corrin's, like, well, where's Corrin? Well, he's over there on that pile of throw pillows under those women.
Yeah.
Like, find him. That might not play well at the table. So that's a thing to ask people, like, hey, is everybody okay with the way that Corrin's behaving when we're back in town?
Yeah. Is it okay that I'm a hedonist?
Right, and if it's not, then let's put a veil on that.
Yeah. Like, I go be hedonistic. Okay.
Right,
we
like
pull the
Corrin
veil.
takes his gold, puts it over his shoulder, winks at you guys, and you find him 3 days later passed out in a bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we can do that. Yeah.
With a rumor.
Um,
Because,
Yeah.
that's what happens in that game. So the character's place in the game is another one. So, like, my character can fulfill this role and play, but is that stepping on somebody else's toes? That's a thing that
Oh, yeah.
should be asked.
well, that's niche. That's niche invasion.
It is niche invasion.
I know you hate niche invasion, but
It's-
I believe in it.
I do from a mechanical point of view, in ways, but
think
niche
we're gonna pin
invasion.
that.
Yeah, pin niche invasion. You want to say ding?
Ding.
There you go.
Yeah. We
The,
should talk about niches and then niche invasion.
Yeah, we probably should.
Yeah.
Because even I always want to play that game where it's the like the Seven Samurai, the Five Warriors or whatever. Like, everyone's kind of a fighter. Everyone is a fighter, in
Oh, yeah.
fact. And how they differ is very, very little mechanically in a lot of ways sometimes.
Depends on the game system.
Depends on the game system.
Let's be clear. Like, there are certain game systems where it would be like, well, you're all fighters.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, oh, except that you do 2d6, you do 1d10. Like, that could
Sure.
be.
But that isn't where the interesting part of those characters are. It's their motivations and their history and the dark secrets that they carry, the things that are cool about them.
Oh yeah. I mean, you gotta. If the mechanics aren't going to help you differentiate the character,
Uh-huh.
let me say this another way. The mechanics are one way to differentiate a character.
It's true.
You also have to do stuff to make that character unique.
And it's better if the mechanics help you do that.
Yeah, if the mechanics help you do that, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't, then you're relying way more on narrative.
Yeah, so that way, if you have to rely on narrative, that's when you have to ask that question. Like,
Absolutely.
I'm thinking my character's like this, I know your character's like that. How can we jive together?
Right.
Like, that's how you ask that question.
I'm playing a bard, and Bob is playing
A singing cleric.
No, come on. Don't you remember it? Oh, God.
Bob doesn't remember.
You,
I
you
need
are a
another
bag
clue.
of
Come
crushing
on.
disappointment. I'm playing an illusionist. I'm so disappointed. Forget it. I'm done.
Okay, so one was
Yeah, I
playing.
have no idea where you were going with that.
So strike
Sorry.
that example from the record. That didn't happen. It's still what I was talking about. Still plays well. Like it was, I'm doing X, you're doing Y. They're kind of in the same space. Can we make it all work out together? Let's move on to the last thing. Since that example fell completely flat, we failed.
Dead on arrival.
Dead on arrival.
God,
D-E-D
I
dead.
couldn't do anything to save it.
Play style at the table. So, for instance, secrets. Like, is it okay if we have secrets from each other, or do we play open and pretend not to know them as characters? Like that is a kind of play that you can have. You can play the game either way too. If you're confused about something, then bring it up. It never hurts to clarify. Like those are things that you can do as players to get feedback in the game from other players too. Like, is that like you can ask somebody like, is that how we're gonna play the game? More loose and fast. Like we kick in the door. That's our thing. We don't plan. Or are we gonna be sneaky about this? Or are we gonna be a bunch of thieves? Or are we gonna be like how do we want to approach these things? Because my character does X, Y, and Z, but if we play it that way, my character doesn't really fit. Things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good, and I think it's a thing we don't do very often. That we don't as players, just ask how we're doing.
Yeah.
We just assume we're great. Like,
Yeah.
I'm the player in the game. I'm having a great time. Okay, I'm on my way out. I'll see you guys next week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe you're not.
Maybe you should ask.
Maybe you should ask.
All right. Let's talk about how to give answers to these questions effectively. Let's talk about critique. So first, it's always good to start with a definition. So the definition of critique. Evaluate a theory or practice in a detailed and analytical way. So that is the definition of critique. And in this case, the practice is play, right? Like how we play the game. So what are some best practices for critique? I mean, first off, I like to make it about myself and what I'd like to see instead of about the person and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a way that I like to critique. So if you say like that opening scene left me confused, like I was confused about it. It would have been nice if an NPC could have explained what was happening, and how what was happening was taboo. That way I would have understood as a character. I just didn't quite catch that. That might have been on me.
Well, now see what you did. So what you've done is you are keeping the GM from becoming defensive.
Yeah.
Because you aren't pointing at the GM.
Yeah, not
You're
blaming
saying
them.
you turned it into you.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was the GM's fault, the next words out of the GM's mouth are going to be, no, you didn't misunderstand it. That was on me. I should have put an additional NPC in the scene with you.
Yeah.
Like, you are, this is a way to couch critique in a way that keeps people from being defensive. Because here's the problem. When we give critique, if the person becomes defensive, they immediately go into that fight or flight, that amygdala hijacking.
Yeah.
You are not going to hear the critique.
That's true.
You're not going to hear anything else that comes after it.
That's right.
So, and it's not always a thing people can control.
That's why we don't do things like be accusatory and say that opening sucked.
Right. Like if I had problems with the finale of the Airy Peaks, if I had told you like that giant dragon thing was stupid, right? You had that thing in mind for a while.
I did.
Like I tell you that, you're gonna be like, you're gonna like dig in, right? Even if you're playing it cool, inside you'd be like hardening up at that moment.
That's something like Corn's stupid.
Right? Yeah, your character's stupid. So while ideally we should be able to say anything in complete honesty to other people, the truth of the matter is that if we hit that point where people become defensive, our ability to deliver critique and our ability to have a candid discussion is gone.
That's true.
So by taking that and pointing it inward, you are turning it into you so that the other person who's hearing it, they can hear you.
Mm-hmm.
They don't feel like they're defensive.
I agree.
Okay.
Another thing is pick up your look at your social contract or your campaign frame that you've already established and see if the gameplay is in line with what's going on there. Like that is a way to deliver critique. Like you think that this worked within the gameplay that we've already established that we wanted to play, or this was outside of what we were expecting, so it was a little jarring. You can say stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
Because you have
absolutely.
a basis to work from.
You could say something like, "Well, we talked about there not being betrayal in the game, like, but that was clearly betrayal."
Yeah.
Like, and that could just be a lapse. Like, that's a thing where if you don't review the contract from time to time, you're like, I know how this game's supposed to be run. Yeah.
Yeah. And then bad things happen. And
Right.
people get their feelings hurt, and
Yeah.
you have safety breaks. Yeah, of course. Last thing about giving answers. Ask questions back about the thing you're critiquing, and if it's supposed to be that way. So, like, that's the thing I just mentioned. Like, was like when you talk about the betrayal thing. Like, was that? I thought we didn't have betrayal on the board. Was that felt like a betrayal? Is that? Are we putting that on the board now?
Right. As opposed to, hey, fuck you
Yeah.
for betraying my character
Yeah.
when you knew damn well in the social contract it didn't say that.
That sounds like accusatoriness,
Right? Like,
there.
I mean, the fingers pointing, right? Like,
Yep.
that's that's it. Like, that's the attack motion, right? Like, I've pointed at you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking very sharply at you. What can you possibly do at this point?
Because what we're talking, like, that's like starting an argument, right? We're talking about conversation, not about destroying each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unless your goal is to, like,
Tank the campaign.
I mean, if this is your Hamlet moment, like, if it's time to just stab everybody in the throne room.
Is it time to stand up and walk out the game?
Right. I mean, pick up a chair, toss it,
Sure, why not?
pack your bag, head on out.
I would have done that once or twice.
I know.
Pointing that finger at him, hoping that he grabs it and bends it back so
Right.
that you can pop him one.
That's right.
It's on.
One broken finger is totally worth
Yeah.
a punch in the mouth.
Yeah.
So that's about giving critique.
Yes.
So what about taking critique, Phil?
All right, listen. If you ask for critique, you need to listen to it.
Yes.
So it's time to put on your big boy pants. It's time to take a deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask, they're going to tell you something.
Yes.
Now, first things first, don't defend your points. Okay? You can clarify things, but don't defend them. Like, if they tell you your mystery was opaque, don't be like, it's not opaque. It was fine. You guys just didn't track all your clues well enough.
No, because it was opaque to them.
Right. Right. Don't defend it. You can then you can clarify. You can say, "Oh, I'm sorry you guys thought it was opaque. I really thought I did a good job of making sure that you guys wrote the clues down on the piece of paper. But maybe we should have had something else on the middle of the table with all the clues, like a clue web or something."
Yeah.
Like, you can clarify, but don't dig in and defend.
Mm-hmm.
Because if a scene did not go well, don't immediately assume you ran it fine.
Yeah,
Like,
don't.
I ran it fine. You guys are idiots.
If it didn't work, then it didn't work.
Right. It's probably a group fail.
Yeah.
So own your piece of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, these things.
If I may,
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
let them finish their piece
Yes.
before you try to defend yours.
Don't don't defend before you even clarify.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Before you
Yeah,
clarify,
Don't defend.
don't
Clarify.
defend, and let them have their say.
Yes.
And then when they're done, then you hey, well, maybe, whatever.
Maybe you're
You do
all
your
idiots.
clarification. Yeah.
This is the next one. The next one is the one that I've come to realize over the course of many, many times asking for critique is like not every piece of critique requires action.
Yes. Like, I learned this from. So you learned this from writing. I learned this from software
I
design.
actually learned this. I learned this from writing, but I also learned this from asking this question so many times at tables.
Okay, I learned this initially from software design. Like, if you let the users dictate everything that you change, you're all over the place.
That's right.
Now, I think part of this comes to style, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
like what if I could say, like, what if you got a bunch of critique and it was like, well, the game was good, but like that third act, it got like all weird. Well, it was supposed to.
Yeah. You know what I say at that point in time? Like, oh, good, it did exactly what I wanted it to do.
Right. If maybe you didn't like
I'm sorry
it.
that you didn't like it, but it was doing exactly what I wanted it to do. I apologize.
Right.
That it wasn't fun for you, but it was fun for me.
Yeah, so not every critique requires you to go fix something. But that said, if you start hearing patterns,
Yes.
you need to then really look.
Like, if everybody says, man, I feel like I'm on a railroad.
Right.
If you hear-
Sean P. Kelly.
If you hear the word railroad,
Right. If
More
they're
than-
if they're singing train songs
Yeah.
when you come into the room to set up.
you might be a railroad GM.
Right. if for any reason they present you a hat, they refer to you as Thomas, Sir Topham Hat, anything like that, you may be a railroad GM. Anyway,
what's the thing that happens? Confusion and
delay.
Hey.
You, Thomas, you have caused confusion and delay.
There you go.
Oh my God! Can I tell you that as a highly compulsive, controlling person, that phrase is devastating to me. Right? Like confusion and delay is like the worst thing you could say.
Yeah. Be polite.
Be polite.
Yes.
Thank you for your feedback.
Yes. And then be humble.
All right. So listen. No matter how awesome of a GM you think you are. Now wait, Bob. I'm going to exclude Sneeze Act for a second. As God's gift to God's gift to GMing.
Hey,
for the rest of us mortals, it's okay.
Have I always?
No, I know.
I've
You're
always
actually
been
very humble
Yeah.
about it. I'm just busting your
I
chops.
know.
Anyway, because you'll be the first person to be like, I'm an awesome GM.
I am.
Yes. So anyway, at the time of critique,
Phil keeps hitting the
I
mic.
fucking hate this. Done. There. Fixed it.
Next week on the Misdirected Mark
Damn it.
podcast, the importance of feng shui.
Oh man!
God damn it.
I told
For
you.
those who are listening, I just fixed my mic.
If
Oh, he fixed it. All
in the
right.
future, I'll just use that microphone. It's fine. You feel better now? Did you
Yes,
win?
I feel great.
Did you win?
I won.
Okay, as long as you won.
The important thing was, were you
Pop
polite
screen
and
back
humble?
on because everybody's like, no, it sounds so much better with the goddamn pop screen.
Phil, you could just not use the pop screen. It's cool. It's okay. You can be a special little snowflake. We don't mind.
No. I'm gonna conform to your little pop screen gang.
Okay, what were we talking about? Oh, being humble.
I'm gonna suffocate Everson and get my mic back.
So next week, Bob, you get this mic. He gets his mic back, and I'll take that one.
You do know that these two mics are interchangeable.
Yeah, I know, but it's the pink wind screen.
Oh,
He
okay.
needs it. I'll get some green M&Ms too, man. It's cool.
All right,
You better?
I'm feeling a little better.
All right, good.
What were we talking about?
Being humble.
Humble, right? Yeah. So you got to check your ego at this.
Did you just melt down?
I am not enjoying my mic right now.
We are not laughing at you. Phil.
I want
We
to
are not
finish.
laughing at
I
you.
want to finish the show now, so I can punch this mic. That's what I want to do. I want to get to the end of the show.
I'm sorry, I
gonna
lost
punch
it,
this mic.
man. I'm sorry. That was hilarious. Okay, so be humble.
Be humble.
Yep.
No matter how many games you've run, no matter how many awesome feedbacks you've received, no matter which game designers you've run for and been told that you ran an awesome game, you still have the potential to screw up.
And to get better.
And yes. So check your ego, be calm, be humble, and accept that there's always room for improvement.
And then lastly, complete the feedback loop by taking some of the advice and acting upon it.
Right, because here's the thing, and we talked about this, Senda and I talked about this on Pandas Talking Games. If I ask you for feedback and I don't do anything with it ever, what's the point in giving me any more feedback?
It's true.
You have to complete this loop, right? There's a currency here. I create a safe space and ask you to tell me stuff I can do to improve. If you tell me stuff that's valid, I need to act upon it.
Yeah.
I need to fix the story. I need to make combat smoother. I need to make my narratives more engaging.
Yes.
I have to go do those things. Okay.
Let us do an example of critique.
Can I critique this mic setup? No, let's not.
Let's not
Let's
do
do a
that.
game related
Yeah,
one.
let's do a game-related one. So let's use Dungeon World, because we're all very familiar with it.
Yes.
So the purpose of this critique, because I always like to have a purpose for what I'm trying to figure out with my critique, is to learn what people are or are not enjoying in this game on a rolling basis. So I'm going to use questions that are specific moments in the game. So, Bob, do you enjoy when I use hard moves to put Laneth in danger?
Yes, you ignorant. Oh, I mean, yeah. That's
Point when you say that. Point at him.
Do I enjoy it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do I use it too much?
No, I thought you did a really good job of spacing it out so that it was every once in a while it would happen, and the timing always seemed to be at like the perfect time.
All right, so I should just keep doing what I'm doing.
Absolutely, I felt it was really, really well done.
All right, cool. Phil, is this cutting back and forth, the smash cutting between characters, and when they're not together, effective?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that if you weren't doing that, the downtime between scenes for everyone would really be like it would be the kind of thing where the game would either drag or people would start losing attention. But this, smash cutting between, scenes from person to person is keeping the table engaged and keeping everything, like, everybody moving at the same time.
Anything,
so, no, I like it a lot.
Anything I could do better with it?
No, I mean, I think it's good. I think it isn't bad if you have a predictable order.
Okay.
Instead of just, like
Bouncing
you bounce,
around.
yeah, like you bounce to me, then you bounce to Bob, then you bounce like right back to me instead of going to Tony, like going around
Just
the table.
Keep that order going.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll give that a try next time.
Thanks.
Bob, you have any thoughts on that?
I agreed with him. I think that's he put it pretty well. So
All right.
yeah,
Cool.
I'm gonna nod and agree.
So that is an example on soliciting feedback and how it is given.
Yeah, it was good.
All right. So what are some final thoughts you might have on our topic here of GM feedback?
Yeah, so the only way you're going to grow as a GM is through improvement, and the only way you're going to do that is by learning what to improve. And if the only thing you have is your own internal reflection on it, I think you're missing out on an opportunity to get really good feedback. Getting that external feedback from the people who are experiencing your game are going to give you the insights to how to really up your game.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So, and I think the other thing I would say is, no matter how much experience you have as a GM, we all run a shitty game from time to time.
Yes, we do.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I mean, there are times where I've finished a game and looked and been like, well, that was bad. Like, sorry guys, like, it just didn't go tonight.
Yeah, that happens.
It happens. How about you? Any final thoughts?
I think critique is very useful, but I understand that this is a hobby and it's about friends and fun. Like that's the thing that people like to bring up and talk about. And I agree too. It's about friends and fun. If you're interested in having this kind of back and forth with your game group, then you need to make sure that they're okay with giving critique and feedback, and that everyone understands the purpose of the feedback, that you're trying to improve certain things about the play experience for everybody, and that you're asking the questions that you actually want the answers to, and not just being as vague like you talked about earlier, like how's it going? Like unless you're trying to get like a personal feeling from somebody, and even then you can ask better questions than that.
I mean, how's it going is an okay icebreaker.
Yeah.
But then you got to go chase.
Yeah.
Like when you hear that, you got to, and here, as just a closing, here's the tricky part. Sometimes you want to ask a follow-up question.
Mm-hmm.
You need to not ask your follow-up question pointedly. Like if you said, how's it going? And I said, well, I thought the game was good. I thought the opening was a little flat. If your next question is why, right? Like just like that, like why?
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, you thought it was flat? Oh, can you tell me about
Which
it?
parts were flat for you? I just would like to know.
Yeah, I if there's something I can fix, I would love to know what I could do.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like that's the question, like why? Like immediately I hear it, I'm on the defensive.
We are looking for why, but we don't need to say why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a way to draw it out nicely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because these are our friends,
Yeah, I mean hopefully.
or at least enjoy other gamers that we want to be gaming with.
Yes.
All right, let's go to the chat room for life now that the
Yes.
topic is over.
I'm gonna fix this thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
You fix that thing.
Anything interesting, or should we just move on?
Emily.
Hi, E. What's up? Is it that E? Is it Emily Morgan?
Excuse me.
Is it she's a
It
super
is-
geek Emily?
It is. She's a super geek, Emily.
What's up, E?
She is enjoying being here.
Nice.
She said the problem is a lot of us get defensive because we think criticism is about us when it's actually about the thing or that action.
That's true.
And that is absolutely true. And we need to be able to separate ourselves from that.
That's why it's so important to understand, like, you are looking for a certain thing when you're asking for criticism,
Yep.
right? Like
Absolutely.
that, you have to be in the right mindset for it, otherwise it's going to fail.
Yeah. Ange said, she said, what do you do if you're accused of railroading when you went so far off the scripted adventure for the players that the game looked nothing like it was planned?
Like, that's
Well,
that's one of those.
She had that happen for a con game with
feel like
Cubicle 7.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those situations where, like, well, I did what I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only piece you can get out of that from further questioning is, now, I have a very specific definition of railroad, right? Because there's a lot of people use railroad to mean linear,
Yeah.
as in
Yeah.
I need to do scene 1, scene 2, scene 3 in order to get to scene 4. That is not necessarily railroad. My definition of railroad is a lot more specific. That is a linear adventure.
That is linear adventure, yes.
Okay. A railroad is when a choice that you make in the game as a player is negated or twisted in a way that its outcome has no effect on the direction of the game.
Correct.
Now, those are two very different things.
Yep.
If I'm running a game,
Here, a
campaign. Well, if I'm running a game at a convention, and somebody says that that's very railroady. Like, that's the first thing I'm going to ask is like, did you think it was just very linear?
Yeah.
Because the chance is it probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because con games tend to be more linear in a lot of cases, because they tend to be a little more formulaic.
Yeah.
But I would be very concerned if a player thought I negated one of their choices. Like, I would dig into that because maybe I did it by accident, but like maybe I misinterpreted a rule or heard it differently. I would be very concerned. Like, I would want to stop and be like, which railroad are you talking about? Because the linear one I'm going to own, and the other one I'm going to be very. I want to very much know if I did something wrong.
Yeah, you're all over it. I have nothing else to add.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
One more. GM Gerrymander
Hey, Jerry.
had a GM that used to whine about how come nobody understands what a great GM I am. Now this person, and
Check
it gets
ego.
better. This person also had a list of perks and prices. 2 packs of magic cards equals 1 reroll. $50 adds +1 permanently to a stat. A free feat or perk for $20. And he was serious. And the thing just scrolled because I didn't copy it.
I mean,
He was serious and tried to get us to bribe him.
Well,
That guy just
hang on. It's that moment in the Jet Li movie where I take the collar off of
Yep.
Chris. I'm just gonna step back and set him loose.
do you want me to tell you how bad of a
Please.
human being this person
Right,
is?
I'm just gonna say. Do you mind? I'm gonna have a sip of tea.
Look, this person is providing no form of entertainment for you. This person is an asshole, a jackass, and should probably never be allowed to roll dice again because that is just against everything that any kind of quality game master believes in. There's no humility there. There's no. I have no problem with turning game mastering into a business model. Like, if you think that your game is worth money, then you should just go put it out there that, like, I will run game for people for X amount of dollars. And
Well,
then
that's I think different. Yeah, sure.
that's fine. Bribing people for stat bonuses and things like that in a game that where there's no actual balance, like role playing games are essentially unbalanced because the game master has all the power.
yeah.
Well, I mean, yes, it's
Like, that's bullshit.
You know what though?
Screw that guy.
I'll say this: you say that the game master has all the power. I will argue from a power dynamic perspective that actually the players have all the power.
The players have all the power where they have the choice to play the game or not play the game.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
you can be that kind of jackass GM. You just won't find me next week. You may not find me after the break.
Well, let me tell you, if somebody gives that guy money or magic cards or whatever, you've given him power because you've
Yes.
invested resources.
Correct.
Yeah. And in fact, as soon as you sit down at the table and you start playing, this is why I've gotten up and left tables, because you are investing time, which is a resource.
Right. I mean, honestly, if I met somebody, went to their house, and they put this like sheet of paper out on the table on stuff that they could be bribed with, I think I would politely laugh. Then I would see if the game was actually any good, and then I would be gone.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, okay, gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is like GM Dragonfire, right? Like,
Yeah.
I am the greatest GM. Like, this is like, behold the spectacle of the game that I am about to play, like, run for you, mere mortals.
Yeah. Look,
like,
man, I get the people in the Midwest who hate me because I'm like, I'm good. Like,
Right.
Right? Like, I'm really
you
just.
offend their Midwestern
I do
sensibilities.
offend like Eric Farmer's Midwestern sensibilities.
you do.
It's fine. I do. I can cop to that. I do that. I am very confident, and that's okay. Like, if you actually know me and spend like 5 minutes with me, you know it's one of the few things I actually am confident about. A lot of other things I am not as confident about.
Well, I mean, look, here's the bottom line. You also deliver.
Well, yeah.
I mean, listen, there's one thing to be like, I'm the greatest GM that has ever rolled a dice, and then, pull some bullshit like that, bribery sheet.
Yeah.
Versus, I'm a good GM, and then run a kick-ass session for people using a couple index cards, an idea, and no rule set.
Or, conversely, run a campaign for 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, you're like the professor from Gilligan's Island. Like, I've seen you do this. Like, well, I got 2 coconuts, some string.
Let's make a thing.
I'm gonna make a campaign for you. I'm gonna make a one shot for you right here.
And remember, I did the whole thing with the Second Sons game before I ever met you, and I ran that, and those people loved that game. They
Yeah.
kept coming back week after week. So, like, I've done most of the things that you can do as a game master, except for a really effective horror game.
Yeah, horror's hard.
Yeah.
It's tough. You know what?
I want to run a
Horror-
real good romance game at some point.
But
too.
here's the thing with horror and romance, actually, because they're related. Horror and romance is only partially on the GM.
It's true.
You have to get the player. The players have to buy the table
Yeah,
stakes.
but you can provide an exceptional setup for it. Like, you can provide every opportunity.
You can bring your half.
Yeah.
But players have to be like, we're playing a horror game. I'm going to allow myself to be scared
That's
during
true.
the session.
It's very true.
Because if they're like, nah, you can't scare me, you're not going to scare them.
Yeah.
Man, that makes me so mad that guy was bribing people.
Uh.
I've heard stories like that before, and I just get angry.
I
Like,
know you.
I take a little bit of professional pride in
I
running
know
games.
you do.
Like being as good as humanly possible is important to me.
I mean, along those same lines, I mean, I think we've all heard when we did the safety talk and stuff like that. I mean, there are some pretty heinous things GMs have done
Yeah.
at tables. Like, I'm with you. Like, I get it. There is a, especially when I'm at a con game and I'm GMing, I take it as it's my job to entertain that table. Like, you've come and paid to go to the con.
Yep.
You've picked this slot to play in. It is incumbent upon me to make sure that you leave having had a good time.
That is the responsibility
You
that I
want to
feel
be,
too.
are you having a good time? Not, are you not entertained?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Because I would never do that bullshit at a table.
Right. I mean, I do that with you guys, but no.
Well, I mean, we're being ridiculous in
No,
the
we're being
basement,
ridiculous,
right?
right. No, but no, I mean, that's absolutely true. Like, that's that humility thing. That's where you come humbly. Like, I'm going to run you guys a game. I hope we have a good time today. Like, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why whenever anybody says you think you're good, Chris, like, yeah, I am. I don't say I am the greatest. Like,
Right.
It doesn't have to
Like,
be like
I
that.
can GM a game. Like,
Yeah.
I got this shit. Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Moving on.
Hold my beer. I got
Hey,
it.
look, there's coins. All of the coins.
And a diamond.
And another diamond.
Oh, wait, thank you. Thank you. This is a hell of a way to try to make up for this night debacle.
Yeah. We're working on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so instead of the instead of the weight loss challenge, we're going to do what is now called the Get Healthy section.
Alrighty.
All right. So everyone keep posting your weight loss stuff, and when you do, what we're going to do is combine them all together and then give the community weight loss for the week.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a good summary.
Yeah, we're going to do it that way. And then we'll talk about some tips that people are going to be dropping for how to get healthier. Like, I'm going to be asking people for recipes, and I'm going to be asking people for other things they do aside from what I'm going to talk about today, like events or things that are going on in their area that they could participate in, and that maybe other people in other areas have similar events to. Stuff like that. That is, I think, where we should take the weight loss challenge to this.
No, I think it's
6
good.
months.
Yeah.
So first off, our total community weight loss from the posts that were posted was -1 pounds. That's okay. We're still getting ramped up.
Yeah, this is, I mean,
It's early.
Did we officially launch, or did people just be like, hey, it's the new year, so we're starting?
Yeah. So that's kind of
Yeah, we kind of did.
So, I'm not sure what we want to do for Annie this year. Do we want the 6 months? Do we want to do books? Do we even care?
I don't know.
I mean, I would like to do something for a charity.
I think that's good.
I thought it was very, very nice that we decided to take the ante from last time and donate it to charity.
Charity, yeah.
But I think maybe it's okay if we just be like, hey, we're just doing this
Let's just
to
do it
be
for 6
healthy.
months. To be healthy.
Let's just
yeah.
be healthy.
Let's just be healthy.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it has its own inherent benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So there is no ante, there is no book, no anything this 6 months. This is about us losing weight.
Yes.
This is about us having a healthier lifestyle.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is about those things.
Yes, I agree.
All right. So first thing of the year, fitness trackers and other tidbits from David Walker. So Bob also chimed in with a fitness tracker, but this is what David Walker had to say. Get a fitness tracker. Calorie tracking is really annoying at first, but it works. And most modern apps have shortcuts to make tracking easier, especially if you can get a stable of everyday foods. Would you guys agree with that? I mean, you
Oh,
guys,
yeah. I live by it.
MyFitnessPal, right?
Yeah, when you first start using it, it's a little daunting, but as you put stuff in, the combination of the Fitbit and MyFitnessPal, you can easily, especially if you're a routine person that like has that like like David Walker said, a stable of classic stuff that you go to quite often. It's always in there, and it'll come up, and you can just go click. I just ate that again. Boom, done. And if there's a variance, it's very easy to adjust it. Like, oh, I only had about half of that.
Right.
So yeah,
I would also say don't go crazy. Track all the major things you eat, but like don't be like, okay, was that 2 teaspoons of butter? Was that
Yeah.
1.5 teaspoons
Just
of butter?
get close.
Like, or sometimes don't. Like, I don't always track butter. Like, I mean, you track the major pieces. Like I ate, you know, I ate a serving of corn chips. I ate a hot dog. Like,
yeah.
those are the substantial things. Like, I didn't track that I put ketchup on the hot dog. Like, it's probably like 70 calories, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Like, if you just do the big chunks if you do the big chunks and stay to the calorie
You
goal.
can start seeing.
Yeah, because here's the thing, it's not precise.
Yeah.
Calorie counting isn't precise, but what it does is mathematically it starts to push you into portion sizes.
Yep. It educates you on what the effect is of the size of the thing that you just put on your plate.
Right.
You look at your plate and you see, oh, I've got this much mashed potatoes and I've got a piece of chicken this big, and it gives you an idea what that actually means. And then the next time you're like, you know, I really only needed about half of the potatoes and maybe 2/3 of what that chicken was, and I was good.
Right.
And then you're like, okay. And you start to get into a groove of understanding what you're eating.
Here's the other thing it teaches you. It teaches you equivalency. So, like, for instance, my breakfast when I cook it at home is a 3-egg omelet, 2 waffles with a little butter, and a large iced coffee. And I know that's about 600 calories. If I have to run through the drive-thru at Tim Hortons, 600 calories is 1 sausage cheese biscuit, a hash brown, and a medium iced coffee. It is physically smaller.
Yeah.
But I tell myself, like, that's 600 calories. That's all you need to get to lunch.
Yep.
And then I'm like, oh, okay, good. All right, I'll just order that then. Instead of,
Yep.
well, that seems small. I should probably get a second sandwich.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no, that sandwich is 400 calories.
Yep, you
didn't
got
need
it.
a second one.
And I'm a classic for things like, Tim Hortons up to like last week had the deal where any of their breakfast sandwiches or wraps were 2 for $4.
Right.
So I'd be like, oh, well, for $4, I'll get 2 of them.
Yeah.
Well, duh, you just had twice as many calories.
Yeah.
Sorry about the coughing.
So
everybody.
tracking. Yes.
I'm sick. I have a cold. I'm getting over it. Tracking. All right. David went on to say, celebrate the successes. Don't minimize any gains. It's easy to say, I only lost a half a pound or I only lost a pound this week, but I gained 1 last week, so it's a wash. Every positive change is a win, no matter how small it is, so don't beat yourself down expecting more. On the other side, don't let setbacks drag you down. A weight gain sucks, but it can only stop you if you let it. Take the frustration you feel over the setback and use it to fuel your drive. Any setback can be reversed.
Yeah, and there's plateauing.
It happens.
Don't freak out when you hit a plateau. You're gonna hit one, and just ride it out. Don't lose faith.
Next thing, current Kickstarter. So, Minimark is a world of perilous adventure for the Torchbearer RPG.
Nice.
It's already funded.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Oh,
the game.
nice.
This is the thing that might actually get me to play Torchbearer finally. So,
I will totally play Torch.
yeah, I want to play it. I
Yeah.
really do. So here's the quick description. There is a center to all things, and so it is with worlds. Between Hell and the Drylands, Aether and the Endless Ice, the Shining Realm, Fair Elfheim, and other worlds sits the world of mortal men and women. And the crossroads of all is the Minimark, a harsh land of stark beauty concealing the crumbling bones of countless civilizations that have sought to tame it and failed. The Minimark is a setting supplement for Torchbearer inspired by Scandinavian myth and folk tales. It is chock full of adventure ideas to give you a jumping-off point for your campaigns, along with new settlements, legends of infamous lairs and harrowing places, details on the more popular hero cults of the Young Lords, and of course, new spells, magic items, monsters, and more. That is the Minimark for Torchbearer. Looks kind of badass. Any thoughts?
It's a setting for Torchbearer. I'm already.
It's based on Scandinavian myth. That makes me more excited about it.
Yeah.
Like it's not something that you see all the time, right? Like it's more unique than things that we normally see. I'm sure there's things in there that we would recognize, but
Oh, I mean, I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great idea.
me too.
So
All right, cool. So community chatter. Play-by-post game. So Jeremy Downey is looking for people to play some possible play-by-post using a messaging software, like either Slack or maybe something else if somebody has a suggestion. If you were interested, I suggest going to the G Plus community and checking it out. The post is there. I believe Jeremy and David Walker were the ones that were talking about it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so. Next thing, Mo, the Game Father Tusino, just had a birthday, and I'd be remiss if I didn't offer my birthday wishes to the Game Father. Happy birthday, Mo.
Happy
birthday, Mo.
I imagine there was much gaming to be had
I imagine so, too.
in his game room. You ever
Yes,
seen his
his
game
game room is ridiculous.
His game room
Ridiculous.
makes me weep.
Did we read about the New Year's Eve party? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I did that on the holiday episode.
I-
I love his New Year's Eve party. I kind of want one like that, right?
I kind of want that room.
Yeah. Last thing, tightening up the show. So I asked some questions this week
Yes.
about tightening up the show. We are already trying to implement some of those things, and we'll keep trying to get things tighter. So thank you, everybody who put forth comments and whatnot. If you'd like to, go to the G Plus community, give us some more. Go to the Facebook group, give us some more. I am always looking for feedback, and like I said, we might have a survey in the future.
Yes.
All right.
I'm already taking the feedback. No more inappropriate behavior on the show.
What?
No more. I got yelled at by the chat room for that for earlier in the show. I've learned my lesson.
Really?
Yeah. I heard it.
What, the shaking of the microphone?
No. I think they all found that funny. No,
Oh.
like the tying up of co-hosts. We're done. No more inappropriate behavior. I'm
That-
on the straight and level now.
I feel like that's not going to happen.
I'm on the straight and level.
I do not think they meant what you think you meant.
Yeah.
They yelled at me. I take that feedback seriously.
All right, man, let's kick into some Patreon shout-outs.
Yeah.
So, Eric Simon, thank you so much for patroning Misdirected Mark Productions. Sean, the other Kelly, not Sean P. Kelly, but Sean, the other Kelly.
Yes.
And then GM Jim McClure. Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to having you on the show, which we think we've figured out a way to do that.
Or we're about to tear a hole in the space-time continuum.
Yeah, that too.
That maybe. Yeah.
Oh, that is not what I meant to hit. Sorry about that, everyone. That's what I meant to hit. Which even not that was the wrong one because my board isn't set up the way it's supposed to be, but because I'm using a different board. The podcast Super Friends. So let's just talk about a podcast or two that we may or may not have listened to recently. Phil, have you listened to any podcast recently?
What did I listen to most recently? Oh, I just listened to Discern Realities, the newest one.
Yeah. Which one was that?
I don't remember the number. 37, I think.
Yeah. What did they talk about?
Well, this is the one. So they talked a little bit about emotional play.
Uh huh. Oh,
And-
that's right.
Yeah, you with me?
I haven't got a chance to listen to
The
it yet.
actual play is really good. Wait till you get to the.
With Ramshackle Crow
Yeah.
and Scabs.
Yep.
So, did it end? Is it like the finale of it? Oh, it just keeps going on.
No.
Oh, all right. Because last time they were trying. Oh, because they tried to dupe out the whatever that lady was in the parallel dimension. Can't wait to see what's going on with that. All good reasons to go and check out Discern Realities. That show is really good.
Yes.
I've been listening to the Orpheus Complex right now. The introduction is over, and now Rob Stitt and his podcast crew, they are playing the actual proper of the game. Like they had like a prelude series of episodes that happened in the past,
Mhm.
and now they're
They're now playing in the present.
in the present. Yeah, one of the characters is a cyborg. It's pretty cool. Like there's just like lots of neat stuff going on with the Orpheus Complex. I would highly suggest checking out that podcast. It's really good. It's really well edited. What about you, Bob?
I'm way behind. For a while there, I was trying to get into a rhythm with She's a Super Geek and Pandas Talking Games, and I am way off the wagon.
Hey, you just pick up one. At
I
some
know.
point.
I have to get back on the hunt.
Declare-
Pandas, you should just jump back to the current episode. Don't try to catch up on the
podcast
backlog.
bankruptcy is a fine thing to declare.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It
it's
happens.
fine.
Oh, that's actually all I'm going to talk about this week.
All right, it's good for me.
Yeah, we'll talk about other podcasts next week,
Yeah.
like our good friends from She's a Super Geek talking tabletop and gaming and BS.
Sure.
We thought we'd switch it up for a week.
No, it's fine.
All right. Well, thank you everyone so much for listening.
If you are free on Tuesday evenings, 8:45 p.m., 6:45 p.m. the Queen's time, come join us live on Twitch where you can chat with other listeners in the awesome, ever awesome chat room for life.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you cannot make it to the live show, check out our podcast each week wherever you get your podcasts, and take a listen to some of the other shows in the Misdirected Mark Network, such as Down with D&D, Threats from Gallifrey, Advantage Insight, Pandas Talking Games, Cypher Speak with Darcy and Troy, The Gnome Cast, and The Streets of Avalon by the Wednesday Night Podcast All-Stars. You can and should also check out some of our brother and sister podcasts, such as She's a Super Geek, Talking Tabletop, and The Satanic Panic Actual Play, The Knights of the Night, and the always amazing Gaming and BS.
After you have listened to the show, if you would like to critique our podcast,
Ooh.
you can reach us directly, Chris at misdirectedmark.com.
That's me.
Phil at MrDirectedMark.com.
That's him.
Bob at MrDirectedMark.com.
He's
be
over
me.
there.
Which is now working after we tested it last week.
Booyah.
True facts.
Check out our Facebook group. Hit us up on Twitter at MisdirectedMark, or you can hit us up each individually at DNA Phil, at Robert M. Everson, at The Light 101. And you can, as always, go to our nearly imploding G Plus community. Our community isn't imploding, just G Plus.
Yeah, G Plus is imploding. which
No, it
I
isn't.
don't know what we're gonna do after
No,
that.
they tell us it's not. The captain says the Titanic is fine. It was just an iceberg.
Yeah, they're
We're fine.
lying. Why are they lying to us?
I'm just, while the rest of them are all chatting in the chat room, I'm just going to make my way to the lifeboat.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I am one of the hosts, after all. I get
Yeah.
a spot on the lifeboat.
If you like what we do here and on other shows in the Misdirected Mark Network, you can support our Patreon campaign. And by other shows, I'm really just talking about Down with D and Pandas Talking Games.
That's
because
technically all that's in this Patreon.
that's all that's in the Patreon.
Yes.
There may be other ways to help those other shows in the future. Patrons get access to the after show, pre-production show notes for those shows, musical parodies, and the Pandas Talking Games bonus outtakes, plus any special releases, which these days include D&D material from me and Sean, and sometimes other things,
Yep.
whenever they come out.
Sure.
This has been a Misdirected Mark production, the media arm of Encoded Designs. And now I will say, so Phil can do terrible things to that microphone. Mic drop.
We out.